what's up everyone, it's Emily and welcome back to my channel. So I want to apologize in advance because I'm a bit sick right now. I recently developed a cold and I'm still kind of in the beginning stages of it. For the foreseeable future, I probably will be sick in my videos and I'm so sorry in advance. But I thought a great way to start book recommendations for this month would be to talk about some LGBT witchy books. This is one of my most favorite genres because I feel like we can just never get enough of LGBT witch recommendations. Like I just honestly, like what is better? I could not tell you. So in the spirit of fall and everything, I have some book recommendations for you. I have read most of these books. There are two that I haven't read, but they are both on my TBR. I don't know if I will get to them this month because honestly, my reading for this month is pretty packed, especially with getting ready for NaNoWriMo. So we will really have to see how many new witch books I get to this year, but I'm very excited for all of these. I hope that maybe you find a new favorite within these titles. I thought that this would be a fun recommendation video to get us into the season before we get to maybe some spookier read recommendations later this month as we near Halloween. All of these books are going to be pretty cutesy, romancy, maybe a little bit spooky, but nothing terrible. And I think later this month I will recommend some more of the gory, spookier books that I have read or are on my TBR, so stay tuned for that. This is also not the first spooky, witchy book recommendation video I've done, so if you're interested in watching or getting some more recommendation videos, I will link them up above and down below. Okay, so let's get into it. The first one I need to talk about is Improbable Magic for Cynical Witches. And this is a book I read back in May or April. I think it came out in May of this year. And we follow a young 17-year-old girl named Eleanor, and she lives in Salem, Massachusetts. And after getting out of a really, really rough breakup with this girl who is like the one true love of her life, she kind of has a falling out with everyone, and her relationship with Salem has become very complicated, and she is also very cynical. So in the town of Salem, she's like the only person who doesn't believe in magic or doesn't really like that time of year, like the Halloween-y, spiritual, magical stuff that Salem is kind of known for now. But then a handmade book of tarot shows up, addressed to her, and she kind of reads through it and is like, this is interesting, okay. And then a girl named Pix shows up and invites her to hang out with her and this other coven of witches, and it's a sapphic romance. It's super cute. What I really love about this book is while it's very whimsical and cute with like a little bit of spookiness to it, it has a really good emotional grounding in the characters, especially Eleanor. I really liked her as an MC. She's very flawed, don't get me wrong, but I really, really liked her. We've got a really great supporting cast of characters in this as well, and overall, this book is equal parts fun and whimsical as well as kind of dark and real. I can't recommend this book enough. If you're looking for a witchy sapphic romance that maybe you haven't heard of before, definitely pick this one up. It was such a fun ride and a very cute read. The next book I want to talk about is Labyrinth Lost. Now, disclaimer, this book was not my favorite book that I've ever read. However, I do think that it has its audience out there and it deserves to be found by that audience. We follow a young witch named Alex who hates magic and hates her powers. At her death day celebration, she wishes that her magic would go away, and it backfires and her entire family vanishes into thin air. This book is kind of a portal story where Alex travels to figure out, first of all, where her family went, what happened to them, and also her journey of like the magic and everything else. It is a portal book, so if you're not into portal books, this one definitely probably won't be for you. I really like the magic system. I love that it has a Latin influence that the author kind of took from her own culture, which is definitely something that we don't get to see in a lot of witchy books that are all very Eurocentric or take place in Salem, Massachusetts, or things along those lines, is very unique. And I love the emphasis on family in this book. There is a love triangle between the main character, a male character, and another female character, which I thought was really unique when you talk about bi-main characters. However, this book did fall flat for me in a couple of different ways. It is YA, so don't expect anything like too deep and riveting, but I think for me, I just really didn't care much for the stakes of this book. But I think there is an audience out there, and if you're someone who wants to read maybe a magic system that's a little bit different, this would definitely be a great one to pick up. If you know me and you know my channel, you know I have to talk about Mooncakes anytime I talk about a witch book because this book is everything to me. It's a graphic novel, first of all, and I just have to say this art style is my favorite. Like the coffees and treats and teas in this book look so delectable. My mouth waters just looking at these drawings. I wish I could live in this book, in this world that the creators made. It has everything book lovers love: teas, witches, bookshops, spells, werewolves. I don't know. This book just has everything for me, and I cannot get past how much I love it. Our main character is Nova, and she's a teen witch working at her grandmother's bookstore where they lend out spell books to people and kind of help with supernatural things happening around the town. And one night she follows a white wolf into the woods where she finds her childhood crush Tam and finds out that Tam is a werewolf, and Tam asks for Nova's help in a problem that they're having because there's this dark magic that is kind of taking over and stealing the magic of the wolves. That's kind of the premise here, but I just have to say this book is so cute and is equal parts like whimsical, cute, romantic, and spooky in the best way. It's also a story of like self-discovery and like coming into your own, and I don't know, I just love this book so much. If you are interested in graphic novels, or if you've never read one and you want to just try one out and you're interested in this kind of like style or story, like definitely check this one out. I cannot say enough about it. It is so good. The next book I want to talk about is These Witches Don't Burn. This is one of two on this list that I actually haven't read yet. It's on my TBR. It's been on my TBR and I just haven't gotten around to it. Funny enough, it also takes place in Salem, Massachusetts, and it really gives me the same vibes as Improbable Magic for Cynical Witches, but like if instead our main character was a really powerful elemental witch, and it seems like maybe it's a bit darker. From what I can grasp, our main character, Hannah, is dealing with the repercussions of a relationship with her last girlfriend, Veronica, and also a ritual at school going wrong, and these dark evil forces are kind of spreading around town, and it's her and her friends trying to figure out what's going on and how to stop it. I don't know, it just kind of sounds like everything that I love about witchy romance stories, where we've got like the coven and these people just like figuring everything out, battling dark forces, as well as this little romance on the side, and maybe overcoming some personal battles. So this one is definitely on my list. It has pretty mixed reviews, so I'm honestly not sure if I will love it or not, but the cover intrigues me, concept intrigues me, and it's one that I've been wanting to read, so it's one that I definitely think I would recommend, especially with how much representation seems to be in this book. Payback's a Witch is probably the most adult book on this list. If you don't know, I tend to read YA more than I read like adult literature, which I know, whatever, I love YA. But I picked this one up last year because the concept intrigued me a lot. We have a bi-main character in this one. Emmy has moved out of her small, witchy, magical town for the big city of Chicago, and now she's back to like help host these games in her town where the different families have a person to represent their family in these like games, and then like one of the families wins. And at the same time, she like meets up with this ex-boyfriend who did something terrible to her, and the other competitors are like, listen, we want to rig the games against him because his family always wins. So it's kind of like John Tucker Must Die in a couple ways, but it's also like not that. It's a rom-com. We get some little spicy romance in there. It's super cute, super fun, very, very magical. And if you love like Midwestern rom-coms, this is definitely a good one. It wasn't my most favorite witchy book ever, but I definitely think that of all of the kind of like witchy rom-com stories I've been reading recently, this one definitely had one of the more unique setups to it, with it surrounding this tournament and the families. So I would definitely recommend this one if you want a rom-com that has a little bit more meat to it beyond like boy meets girl or girl meets girl or anything like that. And the last book I'm going to put on this list is the second book that I have not read yet, and it's called Blood Like Magic. And like, first of all, the cover of this book is what drew me into it at first. I love, love, love this cover, the colors, everything. And then the concept like really hooked me on it. This is an urban fantasy following a teenage witch who has to sacrifice the love of her life in order to save her family. But she's never been in love before, and so now she needs to find the perfect guy to fall in love with so that she can kill him and save her family's magic. This story sounds like it is deeply emotional, grounded in family and like duty versus what your heart wants to do, which I really, really like. I like that this is a different kind of witchy book. It's not necessarily, it has to do with love, but the romance of it is like supporting this character's story arc versus having the book revolve around the romance. I don't know, it just sounds really, really great, and I cannot wait to read this book. I really hope I can get to it soon. And honestly, if you've read this book, I would love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments because it sounds phenomenal, honestly. Like, phenomenal. If you know about this book, please let me know down below. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below. I would love to talk to anyone about any of these books. So that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my other recommendations. If you could give me a like and subscribe to my channel, that would mean a lot to me. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for being here and watching my videos. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.